To this day, the Samoa Faafafine Association has become an umbrella of support to all its members, not only to Faafafine, but to Fa'atama. The question is then asked, is it accepted in our Samoan community, the idea of another gender? So to understand this concept of Faafafine or Fa'atama, we need to understand that they are like any of us in its entirety. What is separation? What is acceptance? And what is normal? Your identity is something only you can understand.
What a Faafafine is, you're looking exactly at what a Faafafine is.
Being Faafafine is not a choice. It is bestowed to you naturally. I did not choose to be Faafafine.
I wouldn't know anything else. It's who I am. It's my identity. It's what's unique about me.
Ya we malo tsatunga ele o se mea na fausia sisi o se mea fo ipo se langona a mea ua o manatula va ia o te manao avea Faafafine ona o li waile avea Faafafine e lo tsali tununga fa vai wa ia e fa na mai lava ia o ha ulea o le fausanga le tua mo lo tangata fa au nga ia so wa ia fa tauva ia e o te online ma o fa pene ia.
The term Faafafine had always been around for generations, even before me, my generation. But Faafafine was more of an insult. It was more of a ridiculing label that was given to men who were not able to present themselves as masculine in the Samoan context.
The challenges growing up, it's not to do with the fact that I was Faafafine. That was never a challenge. The challenge is the stigma and the fear that's associated to that, and the assumptions and all the preconceived ideas of having to understand, an identity like being Faafafine. So it's having to build awareness around that, my existence, having to have the courage to educate and inform people in general who see me differently.
Fa'atama e ona e sisila mai o wa fa'atama na o fa na o tini o lo tino tini ai o langona e se fo I mai I tini ia be o to sisters ia o tu inga tangata le ke ia e se mai fo I mai Faafafine be o le itu pe o Faafafine o la tu ngane ma tu ile le ma tu ia vanonofo.
Nature exists because of diversity. A garden is most beautiful because of its various and diverse flowers. So if this notion that nature is diversity in itself, how are we enabling our families and communities understand that we all exist to contribute to the betterment of our society? Where do we stand in terms of who we are?
And that's a fact. I come from Safune, and that's where I come from. And that's my identity. So, and all Faafafine across the board. So, to explain your identity, your name tells your identity, your village you come from, that tells, o oil kamol ele o oil kamol le afu. o le kama mai pule o ngui salafai ia a suelo ngafa sau mai feo sa fungi o ko alfa nga o mea uma. So that's a story.
We understand that school teaches us about two genders, male and female. Men are masculine and women are feminine. But what if we don't feel that way?
So it started off as an adjective or a word explaining a word. In the Samoan context, Faafafine it started off like that. This was in the early dictionary. Faafafine, in the sense that you have to make it in a manner of a woman, like a very wary and very active woman. But it somehow changed into a noun, and that's where we have the label of Faafafine, which is now given to those who are male or men who actually have effeminate mannerisms.
Faafafine ia o le tuvailia e pe folinga e mafuli e nau o latou e avea mai le tu paia o tamata i le tulanga lea e pe e matou te ia o lava ia o lo te tununga e pe tate nau e avea ita o tamaitai o langona e faatino o mea e fai o fe au o so se mea ia te ilo o le tulanga na
o lo tautua o lo kausi ainga o lo osi ainga o lo mafukai o makua ma kausi o makua ia o lo awai mea fai o nuu ma mea fapenga pe o mei o falavelafe e kakauanga ka koe osi ka koa ainga ia wai pe o alanga o pule o ainga o kaukua ia o le amanga ia foi ia o se mea pikosilinga kam fai ia ma le koinga mea le o lo ia pule foi o e lo loko ia e loka o ave lo kangaka o le mea pikosilinga ka ua ia kia ua ma lo fatama kam fai mea nga ia ma fai nga manga ia ka ikai kokongo isi i kongo sa fainga i ka ko ainga Samoa.
I think the reason why I would realize I'm Faafafine is when my family tell me off or discipline me. It's like, why are you acting like that? Why do you talk like a girl and you dress like that? And why do you comb your hair like that? Or stop doing that. You're not a girl. And I was like, no, I'm not pretending to be a girl. I'm just being myself. And that's how I realized, because I continued to question, what is wrong with me? Until I found out later that, what's that? And then you get insulted yourself because you've heard that Faafafine is usually thrown at people who can't perform their task right.
Was not so much around with the girls. I was still around with my own two little brothers at that time. But I see myself, I always look at the mirror at that time and then see myself, oh, I'm so beautiful. Oh, I want a long hair, And at the same time, you have television in your houses and you see beautiful ladies with, makeups on, the earrings. And say, oh, I want to try that on. But then at that time, my parents was also well aware of myself and my character, and it was amazing how they weren't talked directly to me that you shouldn't be doing this, but they were doing in a very nicest way so that I can easily accept and easily know that this is not good, this is not nice, this is very bad, this is good. So that's how I was being brought up by my parents.
It's just who I am. I've always known as a Faafafine in my early ages, like when I was 5 or 6 years old. I'm sure my mother and father have known there's Faafafine around. They saw that in me when I was a little child growing up. They did not even bother trying to change me to become a boy or a girl. They just let me be because they know it's already existed. Faafafine has been long existed from the past, many, many years ago.
I think Simon is the first thing you mentioned is oilo bingo. Oyo matua. You know, fikisawai. Oilo fasinomanga. And that separates us from, the world in general. Because my measure, first and foremost, is the fact that I am a child of who and who. I belong to where. I come from a long line of chiefs and, a strong genealogy. Olo measure as a Samoan person. Being Faafafine is the flower and the exists on the side. It's not the main definition of who I am as a person. I'm Samoan first and foremost. And that has to be very, very clear.
Labeling or matter Faafafine or label line. But I would say like end of the day, matter te tausi o matter I mata ya ulava ia o te whaaloalo o ielo tua Faafafine ia o ilo fo I tausi le mo uso despite le tau le langi o lo fiateini. But the fact is, it go back lava principles sia for it's tono tausinga o ainga tausinga no because if you know le fo le differentiate le ko nga level le nga o le saufa inga maltal noanga it's tono lo ainga then ke sau fo ifa fo external societies it's tono le no it's tono le kalesia you know where you stand.
Samoa is one of many countries at the forefront of various United Nations practices, and it strives to push the barriers that seem at the time alien. So what are some of the concepts that include identity being recognized universally that may also reflect the concept of identity?
Samoan people are continuously misinterpreting the concept of human rights. And with the introduction of human rights, our people immediately reacted and say, oh no, this is where people will now be introducing the right of children to sue their parents, the rights of people, for example, the right of abortion. In the context of our community, the right to have same-sex marriage, the right to, for our community of Faafafine and Fatama, for Faafafine in particular, to really exploit the spaces that are only reserved for women, for example, sports. But that's a very misconceived understanding of human rights. Human rights is about allowing people without power, which is all of us, to really challenge and hold the authority or the ones who have the power to be accounted to this and that. That's the main principle of human rights. It is about, for example, for us, the right to vote our leaders, the right to question, for example, our leaders spending money, the right for us to question the high cost of living. It's the only humane, fundamental, God-given gift to any human being to really challenge the one who is holding the authority. And that's usually our government, our church leaders, our traditional authorities. Because if we are not given that human rights, then the power will be abused, and then there will be chaos and strife in the likes, for example, Samoa. It is about respect. It is about dignity and integrity. It is about mutual understanding?
There's a huge difference. I think the last 20, 30 years, the people saw us as like puppets. You know, when they see us or when they hear us calling ourselves Faafafine, it's like a mocking something like that. They see it as. But now, I think people respect us very much, you know, and they take our Faafafine label as an identity for us. You know, in the past, there were a lot of discrimination, stigmatization of ourselves being trying to be a woman, you know. But as for now, you know, wherever we walk around town, you know, people just see us as normal.